Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your co-host, Zeke Smith. Our illustrious host, Jason Lee, is out this week. We'll see him next time. And we are here today with our special guest, Tammie Nielsen, the Advancement Director for New Beginnings Sarah's House. Thanks for being with us, Miss Tammie. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Good. Well, we're glad to have you. So what we like to do is kind of get to know you, if we can, before we talk about New Beginnings Sarah's House and all the great stuff you all are doing in the community. But so give us a little background on you, where you're from, how you got into this career, and how you ended up in this current position, if you don't mind.
Okay. So I'm a local girl. I'm from not Pasadena, but I'm from Houston.
Okay.
Born and raised. Everybody thinks I'm from New York because my husband is, but we North met South. So I've been here all my life. I am part of Sarah's House because 20 years ago I was on the board when we opened the shelter doors. We'd been open 5 years, just helping homeless in any way we could, but not having an emergency shelter. And I was on the board when we opened for the first time. And after spending about 7 years, or about 6 years running the place, I was a little burnt out because we started, of course, all volunteers, no staff, right? Board's running it, sleeping there at night. There's other board members during the day. So it was a long, hard road, but it was worth it, right?
Sure.
Because they're still here 25 years later.
That's right.
And so I left and went from there into politics. So I went to work for elected officials.
Okay.
And from there, after I left elected officials, I went to work for the bridge. So I spent several years working for various politicians and then went to work for the bridge. And then here I am back at Sarah's House 20 years later.
And for everybody, the bridge is the Bridge Over Troubled Waters.
The Bridge
right?
Over Troubled Waters, yes.
Nonprofit organization here, one of our favorites. So, okay. So about New Beginnings Sarah's House, you did mention the word homeless and shelter and an emergency shelter. Kind of give us an overview of the mission of Sarah's House.
So Sarah's House started out for homeless women and children, and that's still part of their mission. But a few years ago, the board realized, and the executive director, Bonnie Martin, realized that it was over 80% of all the homeless women we were helping also had domestic violence. And so that's great, we're helping with that, but domestic violence requires other services. They need more intense trauma-informed care, those kind of things that you don't necessarily offer to homeless. So that was added to the mission, right? But the primary mission is to be a resource for community and to help people that are homeless and that have experienced domestic violence to become sustainable, self-sustainable again, right? And so even though we are domestic violence, we still focus heavily on families and women and children that are homeless. So we have a portion that is non-residential to help people that before they become homeless, right? We have a lot of help out in the community for homeless and domestic violence, but not much prevention anymore, right? And so even if it's things with rent or utilities or food, we have a food pantry that is community food pantry. And the amount of people we serve or meals that we serve every month, it just keeps growing, right? And so that resource is where we're at. That's what we want to be for our community.
Right. You said the term domestic violence. Does that always mean physical, or is there some, that obviously can include some emotional?
So domestic violence is people think of physical, right? They think of the battered,
there you go.
but domestic abuse or family violence, it's people use the terms interchangeable. They're not quite, but people use them that way. Can be everything from emotional abuse to isolation to financial abuse, which most people don't think about that. But financial abuse is one of those things that unless you're living it, you don't understand how that could happen.
Sure.
But it's where the partner, and it can be man or woman, the partner controls all the finances. So even if the abused is working, they don't ever get to see their own paycheck. So it's a way of control,
Sure.
right? So if you don't have money, you can't leave. You don't have access to your money. You don't have access maybe even to your own documents, right?
Right.
So people won't leave because they don't know that there's a way to get around that.
Wow. Well, you're doing great work. How is Sarah's House funded? Is it just donations? Is there community partners? How does the organization stay afloat and do so
Yeah.
many great things and keep adding resources?
Yeah.
Right?
So like most, we get government funding.
Okay.
We get foundation grants. We have some industry partners, and we're always looking to increase those. And we do event fundraisers. We've got one coming up. We have individual donors, and then we have a resale shop also that helps. So people donate, and then we resell, and that helps also fund.
Well, two things. How if somebody a company or a person wanted to help out, how do they find you? How do they go to do that? If you don't
So you're going to call our office. And actually, a better way to do it is I don't work in the office. I work remote because we don't have enough office space.
Sure.
So it would be to call me
Okay.
at my cell phone or email me.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure we publish that
Okay.
on this episode so
Yeah.
people reach out to you as well. And the resale shop, where's that at?
Resale shop is at 711 Perla. It's on site with our shelter.
Okay.
And so shelter's one entrance, resale shop's another entrance, and then the admin offices on site are a different entrance.
Okay.
For safety purposes for all three of those.
Okay. You mentioned you have something coming up soon. You want to share with our listeners what your
do.
big event or big news is coming up here? I think it's
do.
in early next year.
It is. Let me open this.
Yeah, sure.
I think I brought it. It is a murder mystery dinner.
Cool.
Okay. So
Oh, you brought the flyer and
I
everything.
did. It's a murder mystery dinner. And it is going to be January 22nd at Fountain Blue. You can find it on our website. You can find it on social media, our Facebook page, or our Instagram. And we need partners, we need sponsors,
Sure.
And just people to come enjoy. So it's going to be 1920 Mob, where we'll have actors, but the audience is participants.
Very cool.
So it's going to be fun.
Interactive. Yeah.
And there'll be two mob families getting married, and somebody doesn't like it, so somebody gets killed.
Oh, wow. Cool. And so this is it's one of your big fundraisers for the year for the organization?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. And you said website, social media, and the website is what again?
sarahshouse.org.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we got a little bit of your personal background. Obviously, been doing God's work for some time, especially working for those politicians. But what would you say were have been kind of your main drivers or motivators to do this kind of work your whole life? Both volunteer and now crazy enough to do it as a full-time job and career. So what's driven you there?
Well, a lot of people have experienced it in their life, and I have not.
Thank goodness.
Thank God. And that's just it. I can't imagine being homeless.
Sure.
Right? I'm from a big family, one of 5 kids. I'm the youngest. My nieces and nephews are only like 7 or 8 years younger than I am. So it's really a big extended family. I could pick up a phone and call people all across the country and have a place to live.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like,
Right.
not having that. So it's that extension.
Yeah.
That's my driver.
I love it. All right. So also I want to back up. I meant to ask this at the beginning. Tell me about your role, because you mentioned the executive director, but your role as advancement director, what is your primary 1, 2, or 3 responsibilities at Sarah's House currently in this role?
Well, the title says advancement. My job is to advance the mission.
Okay.
What that looks like is finances, fundraising, grant writing, partnerships, community partnerships, volunteers, those type of things.
Okay.
That's really where I'm at.
And assume, I'm sure you're doing great in that job, but I assume you probably need all of those still, right? So
Oh,
community
always.
partners and volunteers. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that's a good shout out for anybody that's
Yes.
looking to get involved with a wonderful organization to do that. Okay. All right. So also, we shared about highlights for the organization. Any personal highlights you wanna share? Any big news going on in the Nielsen house?
No, the biggest thing for us is that it's full circle for me. You know, after 20 years being away, I'm back and I'm ready to help take it to the next level.
And so you're relatively new here, right? So you from
2
Bridge,
months.
2 months in. Wow. Okay. So how's it going? You settled in? And you, tell us
No.
about that. No. How much has it changed since you left?
A lot. Yeah.
Okay.
So
For the better, I assume.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
when I left, we were a couple of $100,000 organization. Now we're just under 3 million.
Wow.
So big difference, right?
Right.
We have, full staff where we literally, when I left, I think we had maybe 4 or 5 full-time staff. That was for 24-hour type.
Yeah.
So and at that time, the only grants we have, government grants, were city.
Okay.
And now we have federal and state and HHSC, which is Health and Human Services. So we have, the funding is just tremendous. We've just started program for housing, for rapid rehousing. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
so that's brand new for us. We've actually just started that in the past 2 months.
So what's your typical occupancy in the shelter? Are
So
you typically
we're
pretty full or?
We're always full.
Okay.
We're a 30 bed is all.
Okay.
We're in an old building that needs rehab. So it's a 50,000 square foot building, but we use about 5,000 square feet.
Oh, okay.
So we've rehabbed a little piece at a time. The goal is at the end of 26 to have a plan in place for what is rehabable, what that looks like, the pieces that we need, and to be able to start fundraising to make that happen.
Okay.
We at this point we haven't got architects or designers or anything in yet. That's a 26 goal.
Sure. So essentially, without the capability to expand the shelter, you just expanded some of the things you do, the offerings, right? Instead,
That's right.
And then expanding the shelter
Yeah.
will come later. So with, we always joke, we've got at least, 20, 21 listeners worldwide of this
That's
wonderful podcast. What are your priorities? If you were asking, for our listeners, hey, this is what we need first and foremost, what would you want to prioritize from folks that may want to help out in some way?
I'm looking for industry partners.
Okay.
Almost every industry in our community gives back, right?
Sure.
Through volunteerism, through donations. And so we're looking to have that partnership. How can we bring value to your employees? And how can you bring value to our clients?
Okay, so let's hone in on that because we said it a little bit earlier. We didn't really dig into it because I think it's really important. Industry partners, how can this organization help you? Well, something you said is about domestic violence in the workplace and productivity and how much that, I think we talked about that before the show.
Yeah.
So that's really how this organization could help an industry partner is maybe let's talk about that. So domestic violence is always seen as a home thing. Oh, that happens at home.
Right.
Domestic. There's workplace violence and there's domestic, but there's a connection, right? You've seen this. So let's talk a little bit about the connection of domestic violence, whether it's financial, physical, emotional, whatever that is, and how that connects to workplace productivity. If you don't mind, let's talk about that for a minute.
So let's start with general statistics.
Okay. Yeah.
1
please.
in 3 women have experienced domestic violence.
Wow.
1 in 7 men have experienced domestic violence.
Wow.
Okay. So people, they just don't talk about it.
Sure.
Okay. It's in your church. It's in your workplace. It's everywhere. So how does it affect your workplace? 1, you will occasionally get that violence is going to follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're going to get harassment of the employee, phone calls showing up. And unless you're looking at it from that viewpoint, it's just a nuisance and the employee gets in trouble.
Right.
Right? And I get that.
Control your spouse, your crazy spouse from coming up here.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah. As opposed to how can we help you? Yeah.
That's right. And so learning what to look for, what cues are being given, injuries that the explanation doesn't really make sense, might be a heads up, right? And I'm not telling you pry and tell them that they have to tell you, right? But that keeps your eye open. You offer, are there resources that we can help you with?
Yeah.
Right. One of the other things I think is important, and people don't think about it, but putting a hotline phone number in places that are private, like bathrooms, so that someone can get that number without having to be public, not having to go to HR and say, I need help, right? So people don't like to ask people they know for that kind of help because they always think, how did you get in that? They think they're going to be criticized. So if they can go into a bathroom, locker room, somewhere where nobody else is going to be seeing them when they're getting that number, that's helpful. Just real simple stuff. Another really big impact on employers is the amount of time that's lost, employment time. So it's, I believe it's 137 hours is average domestic violence survivor loses work a year.
Wow.
That's about 3.5 weeks. And if you look at it nationally, that's 8 million hours of work lost a year in the United States.
And that's through either absenteeism or just sitting in a corner and not.
That one is specifically absenteeism.
Really, just missing work. Okay,
just missing work. Yeah,
got it. Okay,
missing work, being late.
Sure. Yeah.
That's 32,000 full-time jobs.
Yeah, and I assume there's certainly more lost hours from after something like that happens. You're not as productive at work because you're distracted. We talk a lot of this, and our producer Mandy and I talk a lot about mental health, and this is certainly a trigger to that, to mental health issues and mental illness. And certainly you use this word violence. I think everybody thinks violence is physical, but abuse can be, like you said, the financial, the emotional, the spiritual. You can do some of those things in a different way. So I'm glad that we're bringing light to that a little bit.
Domestic violence is about control, right? That's where what it's all about, right? So how can they control their spouse? A lot of times it's also the inability to manage one's own anger or emotions. But the ability to control someone else will make that abuser feel more important. Of
course.
Right? So it's managing every little piece. It's not allowing them to have the finances or even access to the finances.
Right.
Maybe not even a car to go anywhere, right? And in think of that, in Greater Houston without a vehicle, you're really stuck.
Right. And what's interesting too is as you're talking, I'm thinking about this isn't always a spouse or couples. It can be a parent or a younger person to an elderly parent and controlling. You're not doing this and controlling.
For family violence, that's absolutely true. And when they're living within the home is how it's going to be, right? And so there's intimate partner violence, and then there's the greater family violence. Okay. And so they still all fall under family violence, right? But the violence or the control of elderly parents has really exponentially grown over the past few years. I think since COVID.
Maybe the fear of the elderly, they give that control away because of the fear potentially. What are you guys seeing on that? Why do you think that is?
And this is an opinion.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, I'm putting that out there. This is an opinion. Sure. I really think it's because during COVID, what happened was people were having to spend time with people they didn't spend time with on a regular basis. We saw an explosion of domestic violence toward men in general, which was really surprising. It actually increased during that time. So I think people were, when they were pre-COVID, they would go to work, right? So they were away 8 hours. So the evening was the only time, right? Evening and maybe weekends where they were spending large amount of time. So it was easier to manage. Suddenly they're spending all their time. They have no time away from each other.
Yeah. Confinement.
That it was exactly that confinement, and they no other place to release it.
Sure.
If a man's going to work or a woman, but they're men and women are different. We just are, right? And so, and a man is working in a group with other men, they're going to let their anger out in other ways. They don't necessarily bother anybody with it, right? Now they're home and they don't have that release, so they release it in a different way.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, look, from the you've been involved in the Economic Alliance. I know the Women in Industry group is great, and the luncheons are fantastic. And so we're grateful for that, for your involvement there. Obviously grateful for the work you're doing, have done and are doing at Sarah's House. Is there anything, as we kind of hit the tail end of this thing and wrap it up, that you're grateful for that you wanted to express? Because we're obviously grateful for you, and you're doing, like I said, the Lord's work and a lot of servant leadership there. But what are you grateful for?
Oh, we could be here all day.
Hey, we got time. We got time, Tammy. Come on.
Well, let's start with Economic Alliance, right? They have always stepped up, right? Always stepped up. The Women in Alliance and their willingness to have a charity every luncheon, right? To highlight, because there's a lot of good 501c3s out there. Sure. So I'm really grateful. Chad's always really good when I say, "Hey, I want to meet someone," and he'll say, I'll make that introduction.
That's right.
That is really helpful. I'm grateful that we have the ability to get on and talk about this stuff, right? I'm grateful that there are people that are willing to do every job out here that needs to be done, right? We hear a lot of people complain about petrochemical, but let's face it, it's what drives industry in this state.
That's right.
In the whole country, but without it, Texas would not be what Texas is.
That's right.
Right?
No question.
Ship Channel would not be what it is. So I'm grateful that everybody's willing to step up and do those jobs, whether it's, a processor or, working in retail.
That's right.
We need it all.
We do need it all. That's right. It keeps this industry, this region going.
That's right.
Well, again, Tammy, thank you so much for sharing all your insight, your experience, and most importantly, thank you for the work that you and all those folks at Sarah's House are doing for our community. And like she said, she needs industry partners and volunteers, and we're going to have a kick butt event there for the murder mystery in January, I think on January 22nd, 2026, and it's sarahshouse.org. is the website to go visit. And again, when we post this episode soon, we'll put up some contact information so you all can find Miss Tammy and Sarah's House if you want to help out. So, and also, if you found this episode beneficial, valuable, helpful, we encourage you to kind of pay it forward. There's maybe somebody that needs to hear it. Maybe somebody's struggling with domestic violence and they want to know where they can go and get help. We have a wonderful organization right in our own backyard that's here to help and ready to help. Lots of folks. So thank you all for being with us today. Thank you again to Tammy for being here. And we will see you all next time. Take care, everybody.